Hello everyone, welcome to another Monday movie. I'm Mr. Blue Summers. So this week I'll be showing you a slightly more advanced technique. We're going to be looking at how you can create a film strip material in 3D Studio Max using Mental Ray. Now what's tricky about film, right, is that parts of it need to be opaque, parts of it need to be transparent. So we're going to look at how you can blend advanced Mental Ray materials with opacity mapped standard materials. And we're going to take a few renders along the way. Now, I'm pretty tight for time because there's a lot to cover, so I've done a few things before we got started. First, I brought in all the materials that I'm going to need. At least I think this is all of them. Yeah, this is all of them. There are two opacity maps. The first is a frame, and that's going to keep each of the frames of the film strip separate. The next is the opacity map that's going to give us those boxes, those little squares that are in typical, right, 24mm film or whatever. And finally, I have a video that I recorded from YouTube of Keep On, and his yellow squishy body is going to be a great demonstration of one of the most powerful aspects of this material when we're done. So let's jump into it. First things first, we're going to need to create two separate materials. One is the non-film, and the other one is the actual footage of Keep On. So instead of standard, I'm going to choose blend, discard the old material, and one of them is going to be our film, Keep On, and the other one is going to be non-film. Okay. And the mask between them, of course, is going to be the frame. So everything within the frame is going to be Keep On, and everything outside of the frame is going to be that black plastic that can become opaque, or it can become transparent. So for non-film, I'm going to keep it very simple. I'm just going to make it black, add a little bit of specularity and glossiness to it. It's just going to be typical plastic. And if you wanted to get really technical, you could apply some reflectivity to it, but we're just going to blast through this. Jump back out to the parent. So it looks like I got them switched. I'm just going to drag my non-film up to the film, swap them. So now you can see the black is along the outside and the gray is the bulk of the material. One more thing we want to do with the non-film is apply that opacity map. So I'm going to drag my opacity map from here down as an instance. And when I show it in the viewport now, you can see the transparency happening here. And that's going to be our non-film. So I'm going to jump back out. And for the film, we're going to need an advanced Mental Ray material. So I'm going to jump into Arc and Design. They actually have a very nice preset for film, translucent film. I'm going to scroll down in my template pull down, and I'm going to select translucent plastic film. Click on that. And this gives us a lot of what we need in order to make this effect happen. So for the color, of course, we need Keep On. He's going to be our primary part of the effect. And what I'd like to do here is go ahead and render and show you what we've got so far. Okay, we've made some progress, but we're still a ways off. Let's go through the things that need to change. Number one, Keep On needs to be rotated 90 degrees. He doesn't really fit in this frame very well. So I can do that right away. I already have my Keep On map. So Keep On got flipped. Good. Next, we want the light coming through the film to actually show up down here. It would be nice. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it would be nice if it showed up. So we can fix that. I'll show you how. The next thing, he needs to be brightened up. We can barely see Keep On in this film, so that's not working either. And then finally, I need to make the non-film two-sided. I forgot about that. This is all a one-sided ring of polygons, right? So first things first, I can make the material two-sided very quickly. Let's do that, non-film. Scroll down to two-sided. Perfect. Now, on to the harder things. How do we make Keep On brighter? And how do we allow the light coming through the material to show Keep On? Lucky for us, it's actually the same fix for both. If we scroll up and we grab that that color map, and we drag it down to the refraction color. Then the light that is coming through will actually be colored according to the video footage, which is exactly what we want. It's exactly what we want. One more thing that I want to show you before we take another render is that if you look up here in this particular frame, it's very, very blurry. It's blurry as we're looking through the film material at this border between the plane and the black background. It needs to be a little sharper. The film in real life is not this blurry when light is coming through it, so it's definitely something we need to change. I am going to scroll down to my refraction parameters, and I'm going to turn the glossiness up to 0.95. Strangely enough, the lower it goes, the blurrier it is. And the quality doesn't need to be all that high, because, right, if it's going to be a very tight transmission, then we don't need a whole lot of samples, so we're going to speed that up. One more thing, we want the index of refraction to be pretty close to 1. It's just a thin film of plastic, it's not heavy glass, so we don't need 1.5. 1.05 is fine. Let's take another render. And there you have it. An excellent, mostly realistic material that you can use for film strips. What makes this powerful is that the transparency of this material is correct. It's accurate. Light coming through is still very tight, and as it comes through this material, it gets added to according to the color of the footage you're using. Also, I'm not using global illumination or caustics in this render. It's all final gather. And we're seeing keep on showing through because of the bright light that I'm shining through this material. So it's very, very realistic in your renders. Let me show you what else you can do with this technique before we finish up. The first is that if you needed to make this a little bit smoother, you could collapse your mapping and mesh smooth this a few times, and you'll actually get a much cleaner edge rather than this being so low poly. The other technique that you should be aware of is how you can animate this. When you use a material-based solution for creating, right, these dashed edges, you'll actually have much more flexibility with your animation because you can control it through the material rather than through the modeling. Let me show you how. If I open up my material editor again, and I set up auto keying, each one of these materials just needs to be offset in order for it to appear animated. So if I take each one of these maps and make it 16 offset along the U axis, then as the film progresses, as we go through the animation, you'll see each one of these changing. You'll notice that keep on, so the video footage, and the frame are in sync, so this line here won't be there in the final render. Now, there's a word of caution associated with this technique, and that is that if you don't animate all three of these together, what'll happen is the video footage will play, and you'll be looking straight at one exposure on the film, and keep on will be dancing, but the film won't be advancing at all. So it actually requires you to use this offset technique in order for it to look realistic, as if the film is advancing. This is a powerful technique that you can use to create film in your 3D Studio Max renders. Thanks for tuning in to another Monday movie. You can find all of my Monday movies, as well as tutorials, resources, and downloads at my website, www.mrbluesummers.com.